So, gonna have to finish this one of the best songs from the Age of Empires 1 soundtrack a bit later, as we do have some games therefore to go through. Okay then, so let's go for the match that was played about 10 days ago as well, 19th August. Oh, let's not do that, let's switch into right now the third player, and this was cast pretty certain that it was Boit based on the timing. So you have maybe seen it there possibly, but nonetheless it was kind of like deep at night as far as the GMT goes, so I kind of thought why not maybe if somebody didn't see it and was interested, could be wanting to have a look as well. This is from the second round of the Voobly Champions League 3, hosted by Boit, ChronoJJ and plenty others in the community of course. No, and we're gonna be starting on Savannah here. It's a best of 5 already, as it's obviously the second round, only the first one was BO3. And we're gonna be having currently, you can see Julian playing with Hades. He is, as far as I remember, kind of like main, I think not even Zeus, but lately people kind of do prefer to be playing Hades quite a bit. He has proven to be quite a bit powerful and strong in general. No, and Kvoth gonna be apparently playing the Gaia here, of course. Why not? He is a Gaia expert. And it's actually something that could be helping him quite a bit, because I'm not entirely certain if like necessarily that many people are having like a direct experience playing 1v1s on high level against Gaia. Could be thinking it's gonna be easier than Oranos, but like it doesn't have to be that case. Because if you do know what you're doing, the extra economy that you have with Gaia can be actually throwing a few things into disarray for the opponents. So I'm thinking this might be somewhat of an interesting wild card for our Pakistani here. And just kind of like, in case you were watching Athletics World Championship, of course, on Sunday, the javelin throw, then there's a bit of a Pakistani surprise there as well on the second spot. So good job on that. Indian first, Pakistani second, interesting, and Czech Republic third. Just in case you weren't aware. So I wonder what it's actually, if he's having the proper attention in his home country as well, because that's quite a bit of an achievement in there. But nonetheless, you can see Mithril Horseshoes for cavalry movement speed, pretty good. Pretty nice and good here. Will be, now considering that actually we do have quite commonly for Gaia, Kontari, might be actually somewhat of a decent addition to his general gameplay. You can see right now the gold mine for him, well protected, not like he'll be even needing it too much. But this is probably gonna be a bit of a slower game, I expect. And it's gonna be curious to see how, you can see Julian already moving into the middle. I'm just gonna go in to say if he's gonna be risking going somewhat like more into the midst of the map for all the resources and even staying here. Because I'm expecting that Kvoth could be going Archaic TC. Julian is gonna be almost ensured to go classical TC early after advanced, just like the classic meta. So I'm thinking that Kvoth is basically free to do whatever the hell he wants. He can theoretically even go like triple Archaic TC, I'm thinking, and he will be absolutely fine in current meta. Because it's really kind of hard to even gauge and even react to it from the other side. So I'm thinking that really in this matchup specifically, Kvoth is at an advantage, sorry. So he's the one who can practically choose what to do and how to do it. So I do wonder if he's gonna be using that kind of advantage with the second relic to the top. He will be having Trios Bow for Archer Ballista and Kiro Ballista, LOS and range, which is, well, also actually pretty damn good for both players, frankly. Obviously Hades is gonna be quite a bit thrilled by that, as Toxotai are having lower range than Arky. But well, having Arky with even bigger range than they already have. Oh, it will be kind of scary here for the Hades there. Okay, so back TC so far of course doesn't provide any kind of extra help. Otherwise we don't have the classic like Savannah build that would be like all the TCs behind practically. So we do have the standardized map, which is boring, but it is what it is. And hey Konasui, this is the second round of the tournament of the recorded games. The third round, I'm not sure if he has played already or has been already played properly for either of them, not sure. But nonetheless, you can say about now Leto and Athena exactly the same time currently coming up. But whatever the case, gonna be having really tons of giraffes all around. Can say now I'm really kind of liking how he went Julian Papa just immediately into the mids. It's really probably bought him some pretty decent resources. There are still gonna be some zebras to the right, potentially available for Kvoth, but it's really kind of stupid for him because you can see it's far away from the base. He already did go all the way to the left flank, so any kind of move into the middle is gonna be somewhat impossible. So I'm thinking that kind of like food tactical, let's say. This was well played by Julian and somewhat smart, utilizing the chances there, but you can see no archaic TC at all. So it's looking to me that we are probably going to be having quite a good opportunity to probably even go aggressive classical age. I mean, like 513 isn't exactly aggressive, right? I'm just really surprised by this. Was maybe like Quoth aware or afraid, possibly, that maybe Julian could be attacking him early with some Ares? I mean, like, I wouldn't be entirely against that. I'm thinking that attacking with Ares quickly against Gaia might be having some kind of potential in that. Because Kikopes are gonna be pretty hard to deal with without Valor. That might be somewhat of a challenge. And Connor, I'm not sure if the third round for either of them has been played yet. So maybe kind of thinking that possibly not. Let me have a quick look right now into the Discord. No. It's gonna still to be played. The kind of like round after this one. So you are gonna be having to wait for the result that way. But nonetheless, you are going to be at this point having quite a nice early rating with the two heroes. It's obviously somewhat like a one risk that is gonna be still up there because the heroes are somewhat strong and even just really fighting them is not entirely that much of a powerful play. And that's gonna be probably providing quite a few issues for you. But if you're gonna be having like 4 or 5 villages at once, with some little micro with the manor, you probably should be able to do it. But the problem is, you're gonna be missing tons of economy at that point, so you don't really want to do that much. So I guess Kvoth was a bit worried that might be coming back to bite him. And therefore he's gonna be choosing not to go for the second TC. Front one of course finished for Julian. And that's gonna be netting him, you can see 1 gold mine here, quite nice. Easy to wall off potentially, military building there. And he's gonna be fine. An excellent also gold mine next to practically the back TC here. Again, it's gonna have to wall here. Oh, you meant that way? No, there are no losers brackets. It's just like single elimination. So no, until now, neither of those have lost yet. Kvoth was playing in the first round against nobody. I'm thinking he was seeded into the second round, if I'm not mistaken. Based on his level, I'll be assuming so. And Julian Papa, he advanced above unbelievable because they were supposed to be like the premiere, but they didn't meet. And then they just kind of like didn't play at all. Yeah, it's no problem, just recorded games and just kind of fill in time here since we don't have anything live currently. We were having an excellent team game. It was posted by Asem about like a week ago. So right now I just kind of thought he might be even doing some records from a match that was played at a bit of an uncomfortable time for most people in the community. So therefore mostly Europeans. No, frankly, even actually uncomfortable for somewhat like Latino Americans and Eastern Coasters as well. It was 4:30 GMT. So even for the Eastern Coast, it's basically midnight. So it was a bit of a harder time, let's say. But currently, economically, we should be probably having the basic. Actually, only pickaxe. Oh, and I forgot to be putting those in. Because we can, since we do have only just a recorded game. Kinda wonder if it was probably just like preemptively, you can say it on 30C finished, as you're gonna be having Quoth only now going for the extra TCs. I'm kinda really surprised he went so into the army. Because I don't see too much of a purpose in that. You just need to be practically army for dealing with like the starting heroes. For that you literally need just 2 and 2. On Murmilos and Turmas, you don't need such a huge army even. Maybe just to kind of scare them away completely. Sure, you can overdo it a bit, but I'm really thinking Qual should have started with the TCs way earlier. I was expecting he's gonna go for at least right after advance for a second, because Atlanteans can practically do both very well at decent timing still. Yeah, I don't use the resources on the live games. You've probably already been here a few times when I explain it, because I mean, like, it's just not worthwhile to potentially lose the chat exchange sometimes, especially with certain players, like for example with Sensui. That could be like even a crime against community not to be having the chat, because usually there is something funny that's going to be said, and if it's not recorded in records, then yeah, well, I don't see it all that much more important. I'm, in my opinion, using it fairly commonly anyway, the commands, the singular ones. And just kind of like, again, if you are so reliant on watching the resources and having them all the time and the upgrades, then you might be just as well better off watching the recorded games for yourself, because you are absolutely clearly annoyed by the stream. I don't want to be watching the stream. So, yeah, I have no problem with that. But nonetheless, I just kind of like don't understand why you therefore want to be watching experience that is kind of like bad for you. And it like apparently doesn't matter on the streamer. Apparently none of the streamers are therefore good enough for the people that require those resources and the upgrades there all the time. But well, nonetheless, that's the preference and what people are used to. So you're going to be having currently, what, can see 92 pop limit for Gaia, 58 for Julian. So that should be of course resulting into, that was a bit of a brave actually stable here. I'm entirely certain what he was trying to achieve with that, frankly. That seems to be a bit unnecessarily far away. Yeah, and a bit risky. Considering he has basically no armies, I mean literally this. He probably still hasn't made a single other unit, right? Oh yeah, because this is gonna be the first military building. Well, these are some random chips. Probably gonna be plenty space there to still hit onto the tower. That's a fairly nice oracle. Because this oracle can be letting him know, Kvoth, that when Julian Papa is gonna be potentially moving all the way to the left side on that gold mine, if it's gonna be needed. But currently, really, Julian is happy until 20 minutes with the 2 gold mines that he has. He really doesn't have to be leaving the spot all that much in any kind of way. You can see economically a bit surprisingly low for Kvoth currently. But he's gonna be interested in the heroic age, and I do wonder... Rhea, really? That's a bit... that's not common. So he's gonna be probably feeling opportunity. He can be attacking a bit earlier with behemoths then. Yeah, you can see it now. It was kind of expected. It really didn't look like that it was actually built all that properly. Yeah, no problem, Connor. That wasn't anything against you. Just kind of like... There's a surprising amount of people who are very kind of like militaristic about that. And at that point, I just like really don't understand why they're watching streams. Not like mine, but just like any streams of the games that they obviously just don't care about them. So it's kind of surprising, but... They'll apparently have different understanding of reality than them. And, well, if they enjoy that way, that's their problem. Or their problem, not really problem, that's their prerogative. But again, I just cannot think they'll be just like much better off watching the games from records and doing whatever they want with those. Because that's practically what they want to do. That is what they want to do with Aphrodite, not too delayed here for Julian. It's gonna be actually fairly decent advance time at 12 minutes. He's kinda playing it a bit dangerously. I'm thinking that as a Greek, you can definitely right now build a bit of a classical age army. It's a bit surprising he went directly into the 3. Because when you're gonna be seeing Atlantean with army against you in the classical age, going for 3 TCs is not entirely the smartest of options. Because you cannot be entirely certain if he's gonna be like fully swarm you with units or not. Because if he does, you're gonna be having very big problems with building 30C. First, to finish that, and second, you're gonna be incredibly slowed down, and that is what he's gonna be capitalizing upon, causing you quite a few losses in the economy, potentially whatever kind of small military you might be having, because you're gonna be having insufficient one because of the 30C. And he's just gonna be getting heroic age better than you. And it's just gonna be escalating from there. I'm thinking it's a risky play. But nonetheless, seems like that Julian is gonna be able to get away with it, because Kvoth somewhat kinda stepped onto his game and accepted his game, going for the second 30Cs at once, which obviously slowed him down as well. With how it's so far proceeding, I'm really thinking that Julian could have been probably smoked by Kvoth if Kvoth decided to go full classical. Probably would have won even by now. Because it'd be just like complete strangle. With some kind of fresh heroic cage. Would be probably going at that point for Stymphalians, maybe a bit more, but against the Hades, the Stymphalians are having a bit lower effect. Well, that was useless. That wasn't good curse at all, because you could have seen that took practically only Turmas. And turning Turmas, no, I mean like you don't want to do that too much. That's not entirely that much of a valuable unit. And you can see Qual getting a bit cheeky. But he doesn't have, of course, Hero Citizens, considering he doesn't have Valor. But maybe could have been at least investing into like one of them. The 10% faster build rate is actually not too insignificant. And he needs to be getting hero anyway, because the Minotaur is still here. And right now he's a bit helping with the crush damage. Obviously, since he's not Zeus, it's gonna be still with the normal units taking quite a long time to pull down in the first place. Device, military device, you can see medium infantry coming up. Copper shields, volcanic forge. It's actually fairly important having the volcanic forge here and going Leto against Hades, because you are going to be having the extra 10% pierce resistance, which is gonna be practically nullifying the Hades bonus. That's also another kind of like little part here. You are not gonna be using Leto with... No, Leto is with Kronos, so nobody's gonna be playing Kronos in the first place. I was gonna try to maybe weave some kind of story with Oranos, but Oranos is having Oceanus, right? Yeah, he's having Oceanus, so therefore there's not much of a point in going there. No, and with the palace right now finished, that's gonna be actually getting a bit more annoying here. Not only because of the attack, but because he can be theoretically right now dropping something here. I'll be probably doing that if I were Kvoth. And that's gonna be blocking the town center because of Lush. And that might be a problem, because you wouldn't be able to even you can't even repair buildings, right, on Lush. So that's maybe somewhat interesting little use of it. Quite a bit possibly, but yeah, well, you can say it now just still the effects of not entirely having enough earlier. And still at even 15 minutes it's right now being felt. But we do have at least some Hypaspis coming forward. Just gonna see if Kvoth is gonna be able to micro it properly. So far it seems like he's having them practically on autopilot. He should be basically having the Archie selected and trying to snipe the Hypaspis. The destroyers, they're not great against anything else than buildings, but they can kinda hold their own against something that's not countering them directly. So that's what I would be doing here. Or maybe at least, let's say, trying to do. Probably trying to do at least a bit, as you're gonna be having some very nice trade. No, thank you. Now that's a trade how it should be. Just right now fix please the idle. But yep, that's where you should be dropping markets. Not somewhere like here and then calling it a day, as about 90% of the community does, for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Again, for the millionth time, the trade is not linear in Age of Mythology. So therefore, the further you are gonna be putting it, the market, the further the trade route you're gonna be having, the higher increase in the gold you're gonna be getting. So it's not the same. Just kind of like having some shorter and safer trade route, you are effectively losing gold on that. And the efficiency on that. So of course there are some reasons where you want to be having a shorter one, because if you're not controlling the map, fine. But there's just like absolutely no reason to be lazy and just kind of like drop in a short market, just not helping out. No, interestingly, as you can see, Julian Pavel was actually deleting the shade in there, it looked to me. Or did he get shot down? Maybe it got shot down, there were some arrows here. Which almost looked like that he was actually deleting him. Which would be a bit of a shame, I mean like there are still 120 hit points. So shades are definitely not bad unit, you can see 8 damage. It's somewhat kind of like a generic unit. Not as powerful as some kind of normal ones, but they are not bad and they are only 1 pop limit. So you have to be also thinking about basically having 2 for 1 normal unit, so 240 hit points, 16 damage. It's pretty good. So there's absolutely no reason to potentially delete them, so you're gonna be hoping and trusting that it literally was just a result of the army. Destroying him with Mail of Orichalcos. Okay, that's going to be further pierce resistance, right? Heavy archers, and much more importantly, Hephaistos getting ready for Julian Papa. No, it's unfortunate that TC already lost, and like completely lost. Is he gonna be even stealing the farms? Which is definitely quite a bit of a good idea. And he's even deleting the farms? Interesting. I was kinda thinking if maybe it's not gonna be from the other side, that blue is gonna be deleting those. But apparently not so much. No, and that's a bit too many archers right now to be effective against destroyers. But at least it means that you're gonna be still having safety C at the back for Julian Papa currently. Medium archers only now at 18 minutes. Also not entirely boding too well for Julian. No, he's not gonna be entering the Mythical Age, unfortunately, in too much of a good shape. You can see practically no resources. Economically, where do we stand, village-wise? No, shaft mine definitely missing. For Mythical Age, you kinda need it already. On the other side, you can see double copper on the army. We have seen nothing a bit earlier for Julian, and for the villages on the Gaia, we are gonna be hopefully a bit deeper. Yes, we are missing literally just currently Quarry, and everything else is already in place. So far, it seems like also fairly decent map control in general for Kvoth all over the map. You can see it now blocking even the golds from the enemy, and he was trying to go for the market in somewhat of an okay spot. You could have just like, there's literally no reason to drop the market this way, right? Just being lazy. Instead of just going the 2 centimeters up towards the side of the map, you're gonna be getting yourself maybe like an extra gold, I don't know. It's not like you're gonna be breaking the bank, obviously, with that distance there, so that's somewhat okay. But it's just like a bad habit, because it then just leads you to build the market like a meter away from the side, and then you're gonna be suddenly missing and losing unnecessarily like 10 gold, for example. And it's gonna be getting significantly more felt. So, as the Mythical Age, Fortune Olympus, of course, and 45 VC has been also finished. Now, we don't even have that much of an army currently for Julian Papa to even destroy with Atlas and for his implosion, but it's still gonna be somewhat useful. Can be sucking up all the archers here in just a moment. Quite nice, of course, conversion here for the Colossus. Can I actually thinking about why he was taking Rhea? If he wasn't doing it to exactly take away the myth units, because you can see right now quite nicely already running away. You could have been running away with the units. You don't have to be standing here still and getting sucked in. It's not certain. You can actually run away from implosion, because the implosion is having a certain track rating. I think like 5. Some kind of track rating simply has. So therefore, faster units can run away, and even the slower ones, if they're gonna be starting quick enough. So you don't have to be given up immediately. There's maybe some kind of randomized mechanism, not entirely certain, what allows certain units to run away, but it definitely does have track rating, the Voot power. And faster units are gonna be always running away from it. Like cavalry, for example. So yeah, don't be giving up way too early for that and on that. Okay, town center is gonna be so far not taken yet. You can say now gonna be having some nice protection from the forest, allowing right now the Petrobolos to deal with it, even though... Oh, probably not. Seems like this tree is gonna be most probably blocking the path in here. And having just like a Gastrafetes is gonna be also good enough to keep the TC down, I think, in. So that's still some kind of small chance for Julia, but unfortunately it's gonna be practically 0, because we do have right now the building right next to it. Very well played, and this is nice to see. Really, again, not enough people are working well with the Lush from Gaia. It's also quite a bit undeveloped skill for the players to kind of like abuse certain positions on the map where the opponent wouldn't be able to build something. You can potentially block even, for example, market spots that way if you would be wanting to. There are just like so many like aspects to it that you can use that it's a bit of a shame that people are not entirely embracing all the possible mechanisms that the game offers. No, but currently I think it's already quite a bit clear. You can see even Julian at only 60 villages, of course no trade. Still trying to get some kind of armory up after 4G, if maybe he's gonna be able to find a way how to overturn the fight, but it's gonna be very unlikely. At least some basic upgrades available for Kvoth, and again, just a question of time before this TC is gonna be also his. At least the shaft mine is right now researched for Julian Papa, as we have noticed earlier that it really wasn't. And are we gonna be having maybe some more Colossi? Not even. I mean, like, we do have some favor, we do have even some gold. So theoretically, even Colossi would have been some kind of help. Maybe in the fight, not anything like game-changing. It wouldn't be, I guess, too terrible. But at the same time, of course, with Atlas, you'll be having Argus. So therefore, you'll be able to destroy practically the Colossi immediately. But yeah, well, it would still have to be the idea from Kvoth to actually realize it. And Argi are kind of a bit weaker, so they are not entirely hard to snipe. But it is some kind of insta-kill unit that can be possibly helping against that. Like at this point, you can be just as well using the villages against the siege, because why not? I mean, like, he doesn't mind losing a few of them, because it's gonna be one of the maybe easier units in the game that he can be getting, and they are somewhat effective. So why not? But otherwise, it's not entirely seeming very likely that Julian Papa is gonna be able to find any kind of reasonable way how to make a comeback from this. It's way too much in control of Kvoth. I can say now even some not entirely big trade, only 11 caravans, but they are sprinting with, of course, channels and also coinage on them. Kind of funny how quick they are. As if they were empowered. That's practically like a Egyptian empowered trade, because the extra fast speed from the channels is also 20%. So you can definitely see why Gaia is quite a bit of a powerhouse in the late game, as opposed to other Atlanteans. You're just gonna need to be really established in the trade properly, so that you're gonna be able to take benefits of it. But currently Qual seems to be playing it pretty well, not floating any kind of huge amounts of resources, just like quite a bit fine ones. And there is the Argus, apparently making an appearance here finally. Maybe forgotten still the first one, I'll be guessing. Was it? Yeah, it was. It was still the very first one that got lost somewhere. And he finally realized he's actually having some extra unit. There is the Shade right now coming forward. But currently you just need to be getting probably a few more Archi into the fight. I mean, like, theoretically Fanatics should be also fine even against the Hippaspists. It's not gonna be the bestest of fights, but they just do have quite nice punch, the Fanatics. Same as, for example, Fanatics are good against Myrmidons. But yeah, it's a bit of a different story, because Hippaspists, of course, are cheaper to pop, and in general are having just kind of like better statistics in everything actually compared. And everything put together against the units they are countering, but it is still something you can be using. So we just kind of giving up completely on the destroyers finally, especially since we having, well, bit of a weird number of fire siphons currently. Bit extreme, and that's why he's probably not having the army. Not definitely, that's why. Finally finished with the 4th TC. And also might be a bit disappointing that he hasn't entirely utilized all his favor, but he doesn't have the resources for it currently, Kvoth. Sarissa. Fortunately, that's only Hoplites. That's not for Hippaspists. Hippaspists are gonna be getting bonus only from Aegis Shield. And of course, another charge by the villagers. He actually doesn't seem to be having even any kind of auto queue on the villas. Extra. Because he's sending them away. He's having apparently only one. And, even wood is gonna be a problem currently for Julian. No, that's another further problem here. Needs to be getting further and further. And it's gonna be easier therefore for Kvoth to catch him. So you do have even some idle army all over the place. As he was raiding actually on the gold, I have noticed him here a bit earlier. Like a minute ago. So kinda nice to be seen that Julian is still kinda trying to find a way how to make something happen here on the game. But yeah, well, this goal, that's quite a bit optimistic, unfortunately. That's probably not gonna be allowed by Kvoth anymore here. You can see he's even moving forward with some towers, and yep, that's fair. The GG is gonna be therefore coming up, and it was kinda like a bit of a weird progress at the very start, let's say, in the first probably 15 minutes. That was not entirely what I was expecting, but nonetheless, it kind of like developed pretty well for Qual. He was having it practically under control the whole time. So I don't think he was really having any kind of real complication in any kind of part of the game. Okay, so let's therefore have a look into post-game. $24.59. Not as much of a difference in the score as I would be maybe expecting by now. Well, I guess plenty of the base for Julian Papa still standing, which is gonna be helping him with the points. So about like 2,000 to, it's gonna be like 1,500 to the top, 19.5. It's about like 5,500 resources more for Kvoth, which practically could be accounted to trade difference. That's, again, I was expecting that's gonna be a lot more in favor of Kvoth. Military account also surprisingly same, but obviously for Julian it was gonna more sent into the meat grinder bit by bit, instead of having some kind of bigger battles. And so of course the efficiency is gonna be different. And we also mustn't forget that there were like, I don't know, 30, 20 villages sent after the siege weapons, and they're gonna be inflating the numbers here also quite a bit. Okay, so units killed, units lost are gonna be actually a difference of 11 and 20. Killed and lost about like 11. Does maybe actually implosion not count towards units killed for Kvoth when they are destroyed by the god power? That could possibly explain that. But for Kvoth is gonna be maybe a bit harder to imagine. But that could be theoretically caused. Oh, units lost, that's gonna be also probably something with the traitors. But maybe also for Qual it's gonna be maybe turning into heroes. I can imagine that being a unit lost, because it's practically like replacing unit with another one if you are changing into heroes with Atlantean. Maybe. Not sure really. On that front though, at that point I would be probably expecting a bit higher numbers in general. But I just kinda don't see what else it could be. He would have to be deleting something, and Atlantean doesn't have a reason to do that. Not sure. Champion destroys the most common unit against Hypaspace with the same number even. And again, no extra mercenaries, mythical units for Kvoth. Which is a shame, he was having plenty favor he could have used for that. GG.